Hello, my conspiracy of ravens. So, as promised, I'm taking you along on the journey of finding a new apartment, which is not going well. So, I am living Canada's housing crisis right now. And I wanted to put a face and a voice to this crisis, so that people can see that the numbers that they're throwing around involve real people. So strap in, kids. It's story time. Now, this past Sunday, I went to look at an apartment from a particular rental company here in Edmonton. I'm going to call them X for legality reasons. Anyways, I've looked at a couple of properties from this particular company because it had been recommended to me from people who actually live in these properties. Keep that in mind. Anyways, so I had gone to look at a few of these properties, and I found one that suited my needs. It was ideally situated. It had everything I wanted. I was pretty happy with what they were presenting. So I put in a damage deposit, filled out an application. Now, I had looked at a few apartments from this rental company, and there's something a little weird happening with rental properties here in Edmonton. It used to be that a one-bedroom was between about 600 to 800 square feet, depending. I have looked at apartments that are as big as my bedroom now, and my current apartment is 585 square feet. So apartments are shrinking horribly, but we're paying more for these apartments. That bothers me. A little bit of background, first of all. I've been living in my current building for the past 12 years. I've not missed a payment. I've not missed any rent. None of that. Never been late. None of that. Okay? I have a good track record. So this woman says, the woman that showed me the apartment says she's going to check out my application. Fine. So she toddles on off. Not even kidding. 2 hours later, she comes back and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry. We've had to turn down your application." I said, "Why?" She says, "Well, frankly, you don't make enough on AISH to be able to afford the apartment." And I went, "I've crunched the numbers. I'm okay. I'm not going to be missing any payments." She says, "Well, our policy is you have to make 3 times rent to be considered eligible for one of our units." So let me put that into perspective. On a $1,300 apartment, I believe it was a little less than, I have to be making $3,900 per month on disability. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be wonderful if I actually got that amount? So they're telling me that because I'm disabled and because I have to rely on this, on government, that I can be denied for one of their apartments. Call me crazy, but that's discrimination against the disabled. Employers force disabled into positions where they have to rely on disability payments. And then we're told by other capitalists that we're not good enough. Now, disabled are a protected class here in Canada. So I was understandably a little upset. My inner Karen came out and I asked to speak to the manager. And the reason was she was new and I thought, could she have made a mistake? So the manager comes on. And here's the thing I really hate about these places. Instead of listening to the client and figuring out, maybe there could have been a mistake. No. Let's protect the new girl. So the manager comes on and tells me that no, there's 3 criteria that they have to go by. One is my income, another is my credit score, and another is, background check. So I called the manager of my building here and I said, did you give me a bad reference? And she says, I haven't received any phone calls. And I know damn well they didn't do a credit check because it takes longer than 2 fucking hours, and I didn't give them my social insurance number. So this is flat out discrimination. Now, I know one of the objections that's going to come up in my comments is, well, landlords have to make sure they're going to get their rent. And I would agree with that. If this were a small rental company, if it was a mom or pop situation where the bottom line means that they meet the mortgage on that property, I might agree. That's not the situation here. X is a company that owns property across Canada. Them missing rent on one apartment is not even going to make a dent in their bottom line. It isn't even going to be a hiccup in the cost running those buildings. Guaranteed. And a guarantee that $1,300 a month isn't even going to be enough for anybody to notice a problem in the profits. Now, the other thing that people are going to come at me with is, you just want this for free. You feel entitled. No, I don't. I am happy to pay the rent. However, I do not think that property companies should be allowed to discriminate simply because someone lives on disability. This bullshit of you have to make 3 times the rent is exactly that. It's bullshit. Now, you want to hear some irony? That 3 times rent rule was started in 1937 in the New Deal by Roosevelt. The intention was to look at how much families were paying for rent and how much they were making, and the government making up the difference. It was never intended as a means to weed people out. Ever. But here we are, and property companies, big national property companies, can use this to pre-approve people for housing. Housing, which is a right. Thank you for sitting through this very long video. I apologize for that. But I do have a solution. These big companies, now if you fall in Canada Revenue's determination of big company, big corporation, then you should be forced to offer up a certain amount of your properties at a severely reduced rate for those who are low income and disabled. Yeah, it's socialism. But housing in Canada is a right, not a privilege.